All right, welcome to Power of Muscle week 3, workout 3. We're going to start standing in front of the chair if you're using a chair. We're going to start with squats. Remember, when you do a whole body exercise, you usually start with large muscle groups, which are the legs primarily, the chest or the back, and then you work your way down into the smaller muscle groups. So we're going to do 2 sets again. And I'm going to start with a light weight. You can start with no weight and work on form. Now, we've done these enough times where hopefully you're getting pretty familiar, but you're going to stand, if you're using a chair, stand in front of the chair in a neutral stance. And today I want you to bring your hands up so that your weights are at your shoulders. I've got my weights this way. All right, and I'm going to pin them to my shoulders and I'm going to keep them there. And I want the end of the weight to pretend like it's like a light and it's beaming straight out in front. So you're going to sit nice and slow, keep the beams running forward, and then stand nice and slow. If you have tightness, especially in your ankles, this is going to feel really hard. So you can bring the chair up by putting a pillow on it. You can widen your stance a little. That makes it a little easier. When you come up, when you're holding your weights the way I'm holding them, your core body is engaged more. So down, slow, belly in, belly in, belly in. Up, slow. Try to go slow motion. That's 4. At the very top of your squat, at the very top when you stand, I want you to tighten your quads and tighten your glutes on purpose, and then go back down. It's common to look down. Try really hard not to. And slow. Noticing how your weights may or may not be staying in place. Are your elbows facing forward? So I'm not resting the weight on my shoulder. I've got it just tapping the front of my shoulder. And down. Nice and slow. Try not to fall into the chair. And up. Squeeze at the top. Last one. Again, I'm going to use 10 as my rep range. And up. And pause. Phew. All right, the next exercise is for your back. And I'm going to double my light weight. You can use one weight. And I want you to use the seat of the chair. And I've showed you a couple different ways to do this. One way is just feet neutral, hand on the chair. Today, I want you to take whatever hand is on the chair, take that foot forward and take the other foot back so that you're kind of in a little bit of a warrior stance. What I want you to think about is drawing the shoulder up into the body. So shoulder up and then row to your ribs and down. Shoulder up and then row and down. That's 2. So your back foot is anchored into the floor. Your spine ideally is nice and long. It's not rounded. Your eyes are slightly forward so that you're not looking down at your back leg. You're looking forward on your mat. Shoulder and row. And then slow. Remember, your big muscles in the upper body are your back and your chest, and they can use a lot more weight than you think. Shoulders and up. Down. And when you're doing strength training, you don't want to just, and we do this because we're humans, got 2 more. You click off your 10 reps and you go through your thing and you go, oh, good, I did it. Click, check off. But were you really focused? All right, next one, go ahead and stand. That should have been 10. And then we switch our sides. So for me, that was more of a warm-up set. I was doing it, but I didn't feel like I was overly taxed. Okay, so left foot or that other hand, foot, separate your feet. So it's a little different stance. And then when you're ready, shoulder drops, shoulder pulls up, and then row to your ribs. So you don't have to release that shoulder every time, but you want to make sure it's up into your body every time. Otherwise, you won't be working your back muscles, you'll be working your neck. And it never feels good to do that. You could think about drawing your elbow to the wall behind you and the weight's up to your ribs or waist, depending on how long you are. And remember, you want to try to release it slowly. So you pull strong, and then you don't let it just drop. And pull strong. Nice job, everybody. Take your time. If you find that you're pulling your weights up by your shoulder, you're trying to use your bicep instead of the back body. Exhale up and down. We'll do one more. Up and down. Good. And then bring your weight towards you to stand up. Shake your legs out a little bit. And exercise number 3 is for your biceps. Now, if you want, you can sit down on the floor, on the chair, or you can stand. I'm going to sit just for a variation. I'm going to use my same lighter weights, and I'll use the second set to go up higher. So this time with your weights for biceps, I want you to turn your palms up, keep your elbows by your side, and turn your hands open. So my elbows are still kind of next to me. And then I'm going to lower the weights down, keep the palms open, and then curl all the way up to my shoulder. All the way down and all the way up, nice and slow. When you get to the top, you might notice your wrists. They need to be long and not flipped backwards like this. Slow. And I like to vary my exercise choices so that when I'm doing my large muscles, it taxes me aerobically. And then that can take away from the strength training piece. So I want to not do that. You're doing that purposefully, that would be a HIIT training workout, but that's not what this is. This is more purposeful strength. And at the very top, you could squeeze your biceps. Hold on to that squeeze as you lower slowly. And by now you should maybe be getting a little tiny fatigue, maybe a burn. Last 2, up, squeeze. And we look for a range of 8 to 12, remember. We want to be able to do 8 reps, otherwise it's too heavy. And all the way down. Go ahead and pause. And then you want to not have to do more than about 12 reps. If you're pushing up into the 15 range, it's too light. You have to figure out how to make it harder. Alrighty, going back to legs. Going back to legs. This time you're going to move the chair out of the way. And we're going to take our weights. Now you can do this without weights, it's totally fine. And we're going to do what's called a curtsy lunge. So this is different than the straight back lunge. Straight back lunge is straight linear movement. This is more rotational hip movement. So you're going to step back on a curtsy. And then I want you to bend your knees a little bit. And then I want you to think about taking your weights to the floor. So maybe you're going to go halfway down. Maybe you could go all the way down. Come back up and step. One more the other way, slow, back. Bend the knees a little bit and then decide, am I going to go halfway down, part of the way down, all the way down? And then come back up and step. So what I'd like you to do is keep your shoulders on your back. Don't let your body fall forward. Ready? Step, flex down, flex up, and step. Sure to go easy with this one until you see how it feels. Down. It's a good exercise, but you got to be ready for it. Step. Back. Bend both knees. Both legs straight. And up. Crisscross. Down. Up. Step. Crisscross. down. And remember, you don't have to go all the way to the floor. That's not necessary. That's full range of motion if you are. Cross, down, and up, and together, back, down, up, shoulders on your back, together, crisscross, down, up. One more time each side. So I'm doing 10 total, not 10 on each side. Squeeze for time. Step, down, up, and pause. Good. How was that one? Is that a little funky and weird? All right, next exercise, lying on our backs for chest work. You're gonna need space to open your arm all the way out to the side on each side. So lie down in a way that will give you that space. And when you get to the floor, keep your weights at your chest. When you're ready, you're going to bring them up towards the chest, over your chest area, and you're touching them end to end. Now look at your wrists. If your wrists are bent over backwards, I want you to make the outer edge of your wrist, this outer part here, straight. Don't let it flex backwards. All right? So from here, you're going to take your arms completely out to the side, hover them just off the floor, and then slow, careful, come back up to center. This is specifically for your chest muscle. You might feel it in your anterior deltoid and your bicep. If it feels too hard, lighten the weight. If it feels too easy, remember this for next repetition and you'll make a heavier weight. Up, squeeze, try not to rush. Open. And if your arms feel wobbly, like they're kind of wiggling up and back, that's just because the muscles you're using they don't have any awareness to what you're doing. And that's the glory of doing the motion more than once or twice, because we teach the muscles how to move. The arms should stay parallel to the shoulders and not go below the shoulders as you lower the weights to the floor. And when you get to the top, you're right above your chest, not above your face. All right, up and squeeze and open, nice and slow. Can you feel the tension on your chest muscle as you're out here? Don't rest on the floor if you can help it. We have 2 more. Open, open, open. And then you could think about the muscles at your chest, squeezing those in as you come up. So try to keep the work in the chest and out of the hands. And squeeze from the chest. You're bringing it up from there. Good, that's 10. Arms down, weights off to the side. Take a moment. Our second exercise is going to be here also, or the next one, it's going to be for the triceps. You can use one weight and hold it end to end like this, or you can hold 2 weights and crisscross them. I'm going to use 2. And your arms are going to come straight up over your body. And they're going to lean back just a tad, just a little bit, because I want you to bend your elbows and get the weight above your head. And then push straight up. That's 1. I like this exercise for triceps because you're stable. Push. 2. We're working on the back of the arm, so focus there. Push. 3. Slow release. Back is in neutral. Push. 4. Slow and controlled. And push. 5. Notice your breathing. If your arms are getting tired, that's a good thing. Remember, we're trying to tax them on purpose. And then make sure if you haven't eaten your protein before, make sure you have some good solid 20, 30 grams of protein after. Otherwise, what you're doing is a waste of time. Push. Back and down. I had mine before, so I'm covered. And back and down. Push. And one more. Slow and controlled, that's the name of the game. And push. And bring the weights down. Roll over and move them to the side. Come on up. All right, I have a new move for you today. We haven't practiced this one at all. This is a hip hinging movement. And you might remember in the very beginning when we did the workout, or in the educational part, I talked about the movement patterns that we have in our body, pushing and pulling and rotating and such. Hinging is one. And so these are called deadlifts. And they're really, really good. Serena, you might love these today. They're really, really good for the hamstrings and the glutes and the lower back. So you're going to pick up, I would pick up at least 2 weights, one in each hand. You're going to put them together like they're in one unit. All right. And the idea here is that you're going to keep the weights close to your body so that they end up right over your toes. And I want you to hold your shoulders up on your back, nice long spine, soft knees. And you're going to slowly bend from your hip. And you're going to go down so that the weights go near your toes. And if you have to round your back, stop. At no point should you round your back. You should feel this in your glutes and your hamstrings. And then slowly come straight back up. And squeeze your glutes at the top. Slow and control. This is called hinging. It's a primary movement pattern that we all do. Go right to the edge of that stretch and then pull up from there. Keep your shoulders on your back, your arms still. Slow and controlled. So this works your lower spine, your glutes, and your hamstrings. And push. Try to keep your knees soft as you go down. That just allows you to not lock your knees, and then you'll lock your spine. And push. When I first learned this years ago, I didn't learn it properly. And I thought I had to touch the floor. I guess you know what that did. And push. And if you're not sure what it did, it hurt my lower back. And down, nice and slow. Control what you're doing. We do this kind of movement on a regular basis, day in and day out, but we don't notice it. So this will help strengthen us so that when we do move forward and down, we have stability, we have strength, we have power. And you're either going to love this one or hate it. And up, careful, slow, shoulders are still on your back, squeeze, and last one, straight down. Keep your shoulders on your back as you go down. Straight down toward your toes. And come straight back up and squeeze. Good. So if you felt that a little bit in your lower back, it's not a bad thing. You just don't want it to hurt because those muscles can be really weak. All right. Now
I like it.
Yes.
I liked it. It was good.
Good, good, good. All right. So let's, from here, we're going to go to shoulders. And I want you to use a light weight here just to see how it feels. These are working on external and internal rotation. I taught this to you in the beginning. So we're going to bend the elbows. And we're going to turn the hands palms up. And again, check your wrists. And you're just going to open your hands to that place where we were in the bicep curls. And then you're going to close. And you're going to open. And you're going to close. Now, I don't want you to move your arms off of your body. Keep them right connected to your waist. And you might not notice, or you might notice you don't have a big range of motion, and that's all right. And touch. Now I'm going to add a little variation to this for the next 5. So instead of touching the pinky side, we're going to touch the thumb side. So you're going to rotate the pads and touch in, rotate and open. Rotate and come in. Keep your arms right by your body. Good. Rotate and come in. Rotate. So we're back in that shoulder again. You might feel this. and open. Good. Release your arms and roll your shoulders. Alrighty, now the weights are going down and we're gonna work on our core body. So the first thing we're gonna do is to come on our side, and this is to work lateral body. Instead of doing side bending or twisting, we're gonna do this side plank movement. And if you've taken classes with me before, you've done this one before. And I'll show you how to do this in stages. So the first thing to think about is this elbow being under or forward of your shoulder, and that you're pushing through your hand so your shoulder's engaged in the socket. I do not want you hanging in your shoulder. So that's number one. The knees are bent and the feet are stacked on top of each other. Number two is reach around to your ribs and lift your ribs up so that you feel space here. I want you to keep that and then lift your hips. So you can stay here. We're going to go up and down just for funsies. So take your top arm to the sky, keep thinking about your ribs, and you're going to lower your hips down in your hand, and you're going to lift your hips in your hand up. 1, lower hips down, up for 2, lower down, up for 3, good, lower down, up for 4. And again, we're just going to do 5 on each side for time, and up, hold this one and straighten your top leg. So you look like a straight line from your head to your foot, and you're lifting from the bottom up, underside here. This is the part you're working. Release and come down. Switch your sides. So just make sure that you don't have your elbow tucked under you and you're hanging forward in your shoulder. That will only give you a shoulder injury. Knees and feet stacked. Once you've got your shoulder and your hand active on the mat, take your hand to your ribs and lift your ribs up, because you'll hang there like that. That's just natural. And then lift your hips up. Lift your hand up. And then we'll go down and up. Down and lift 1. Down and lift 2. And I always think about my first set of anything not being the most hard I can do. I want to be able to do a second set. And then uphold, push into the hand on the floor and straighten this top leg. Make your whole body in a straight line. Lifting the hips, lift, lift, lift. And then come down. Phew. All right, lay on your belly. Working on back body here. So I want your hands out over your head, thumbs to the sky. Feet are slightly wider. So if you were to look at yourself from the top down, you'd look like you made an X with your arms and your legs. And we're going to lift your left arm and your right leg up and down. And then left leg and right arm up. And then do all 4 if you can. All 4. And down. Repeat. Left arm, right leg, opposites. Down. Other opposite. Down. And all 4. And down. We'll do 5. Again, just for time. And down. And up. And down. And all 4. Not be in your lower back. If it's in your lower back, don't lift as high. Keep engaging your lower belly. And down. And lift. And 1 more series. Up. And down. Up. And down. And all 4. And rest. All right. Last one is a plank. Our favorite. Today we're going to do it on our forearms. So I want you to come up so that you're like in Sphinx pose. If you're clasping your hands, tuck your pinky finger inside, or you can just put your palms flat down on the floor. You want your shoulders on your back body, and you're going to come up initially on your knees. So lift your belly, lift your hips, and come up into a kneeling plank. All right, from here you can stay, or you can lift your knees and come up into a full forearm plank. And you're breathing. Now, what I want you to think about are your shoulders moving down your back and in, not up by your head. Is your head in neutral? Do you feel like you can lift your belly and take your tailbone towards your heels? And I've got my feet together, and that's just a variation. I like that more because I can squeeze my legs together. And you want to feel a little shimmy shake going on so that you're targeting all the whole body. Take one more breath. And then exhale, release, and come down. All righty. Set one is done. Set one is done. And what I'd like to do is let you have a break. If your heart rate is up and your breathing is up, you want to make sure it completely comes down. So we'll give it a minute or two. I want you to get some water. And then, make a decision about your second set. Usually what women do, men do probably too, is they do set one and they're like, I got too much to do. I'll be done. I'm kind of tired. I'm not going to do the second set. The second set is where the juice is. The second set is the juice. If you don't do a second set, you have to make the first set really hard. Like everything you got the first go round. So I don't know about you, but I didn't do that. All righty. How you feeling? I'm gonna get some water. The hardest thing for people to remember about strength training is that it is not a cardio workout. It's a strength training workout. And back in the day, when everybody was doing cardio work, the strength trainers, the body trainers would all say, you don't need to do cardio work because you're getting your cardio when you're doing the strength training. And we're all like, you don't know what you're talking about. But they were all right. Because if you do strength training properly, you strength train at an intensity that it pushes your blood flow through your muscles, making your heart rate and your respiration go up. And if you've ever been in a gym and you've watched the big bodybuilders work out, they'll do a set, one set of something like lunges, say, and then they actually sit down and they let themselves recover before they go on to the next thing. And I always found that to be so interesting, right? But now I know why. Didn't know it when I was back in the day. Alrighty, so second set, stay where you are or up it, okay? So I'm gonna do I'm preaching what I say. I got my heavier weights. These are 8s. My other ones I was using were 6s. I've been exercising for a long time, and what I noticed is that I've gotten weaker as I've gotten older because I haven't focused on it like I used to, but also that I'm stronger than most. So maybe I'm ahead of the game. So here's a thing to think about. I'm going to show you sideways. If you're holding your weight right at the top of your shoulder, your arm is actually working. Some people will put their weights on top of their shoulder like this, but you don't work as hard when you do that because your core body can shut down. So I'm trying to give you bigger bang for your buck, if you will. So let's come to standing. And you're right in front of your chair. And you're going to bring your weights to your shoulders. This is the first exercise we did. So the weights are pointing forward. So as you sit back and down, the weights continue to point forward. And stand and squeeze at the top. Try not to let your elbows be out here. Think about everything being in front. And up and push. Now remember, if you're tall, sitting all the way down in a chair is a lot. Like I like what Sharon did. She's got a higher chair and she's protecting her hip, not going down as far. But if you're like me and you're going full range, it's a lot. Keep an eye on your knees that they don't hover outward. And up, push and squeeze at the top. And sit The end of the weights are always looking forward. And if you're stronger and you're really working on that, I want to push it to the next level. Try not to rest in the chair. Okay. Is one more for 10? Such a bad counter. I need a clicker. And up and pause. Good, weights down. All right, second one is our one arm row. And I'm going to double my weights. You can use one heavy weight, you can use 2 light weights. Hand on the chair, and whatever hand on the chair, that leg stays forward, the other leg steps back. Here we go, you ready? So when you're here, pull your shoulder up into the body, and then row to your ribs or your waist, and come right back down nice and slow. It should be hard. This set should feel hard. If it doesn't feel hard, make it harder. Don't be too easy on yourself. Take care of yourself for sure, but make what you're doing mean something. Up. And I don't know about you, but I don't want to do all the exercises and then have it not work because maybe I didn't work at the right intensity, or maybe I didn't eat the proper food. And down. I think that's 7. Up. So you want to be asking yourself, can I pull this next one all the way up? And I use my body as a gauge. I bring my weights all the way up to my ribs. And if I can't do that, I know I'm too tired. And then release and come to center. All righty, switch your sides. Holding 2 weights, especially when they get heavy, can be a little awkward. So you have to take care of all the different parts, right? So maybe you have a wrist stuff, or maybe you have a thumb thing. Ready? Shoulders on your back. Row slow. Down slow for 1. Up. And down. Good. So the hand on the chair and your feet position, keep your torso really stable while you work this free arm. And you want to focus on the back, your back body, right around the bra and shoulder blade. Good. Stomach is in, up, squeeze, down, release, up, squeeze, down, release. Try not to bring that shoulder up by your ear. If it's coming upward, you're using your upper traps, and that's only going to make your neck tired. All right, last one there. Go ahead and come to standing. And then this next one is for your biceps. You can sit or you can stand. Either way, I'm going to sit just because it's here. So if you're sitting, I want you to make sure you're sitting up on your sit bones. Your collarbones are wide, your shoulders on your back. And then take your hands down, turn your palms open. So they're facing outward towards the corners. Keep your arms by your side and curl up towards your shoulders. And release, slow. And curl. And release. Good. Now this gives your body a chance to recover, sitting and doing a smaller muscle group before you move on to something big again. And the thing that I would not encourage you to do when you're working out on your own is to distract yourself with a podcast or television. Music is maybe, but nothing else. And you know why? Because if you don't put your mind into your activity and your muscle, you don't get the most benefit. This is the last one. They've actually done studies on this. And you can lose as much as, I think it was 70% of the effort. The body doesn't recognize it because the brain is somewhere else. The brain's not here paying attention. making everything wake up. We're just going through the motion. So I'm going to challenge you not to do that. All right, so the next one we're doing is our curtsy lunge, that funky curtsy lunge. I'm going to change it up a little bit on this one. And I do this on purpose so that your body doesn't get too used to anything. We just did 3 exercises exactly how we did them. And I forgot to add the addition on the first one. Sorry about that. But I'm not going to do it now because we already did it. Take one weight. And we're going to stay on one side. First time we went back and forth, remember? So I'm going to take one weight, and I've got one heavy weight. I could do 2 light weights, but this one's here. Shoulders on your back. We're going to, whatever weight is in your hand, that leg is going to step back. So you're going to step back. You're going to come down wherever you can come down. And then as you come up, come to your bicep curl, push overhead at the top. Back in. Down. Up to your shoulder and over your head. That's 2. Down. Up, shoulder, overhead. 3. Down. And you're going wherever you can go. Remember, you don't have to touch the floor. When you've got that back leg behind you, that back knee should be bending. Bend your back knee too. And up. And I'll turn sideways so you can see. Down, back knee, both knees are bending. Up and push. Down, floor or knee, up. I think that's 8. Down, curtsy. Good, better. Up and 9. Down, curtsy. Up. And 10. Good. Switch your arms. Other side. So step back behind, bend both knees to touch the floor of the knee. Come up to your shoulder, push overhead to stand. Shoulder, back down. Good. Shoulder, up. Shoulder, down. And the tendency is to go fast with this one because it's like a little dance. I'm going to challenge you not to do that. Squeeze, both knees bend. Down. Both knees bend. The emphasis is on the front leg here for sure, but both legs are participating. Makes you work your muscles around your hip socket and your glutes differently. Down. Touch. Up. Touch. And I think we have one more for 10. Down. And up. And overhead. All right. The progression to that is have a heavier weight on that end. We're going to come down now and do our chest flies. Yeah, shake it out. Good, good. Do your chest flies. So you're laying on your back, giving yourself a little bit of a rest. And this is the one where we want to have space to do open arm position. Ideally, you have a heavier weight the second time around, unless the first time felt really hard. So knees bent, arms straight up, and they touch. And remember, look at your wrists. Make sure they're straight. And then you're going to open the arms nice and slow out to the walls, and then back up nice and slow. Open out nice and slow. And close. Reminding you that if your arms feel wobbly, it's just because you're using muscles you're not used to. Most of us don't do this kind of motion on a day-to-day basis. Open. And squeeze. Belly button really participates here. Make sure your core body is engaged. Open. And squeeze. That's 6. Remember, weight stays over your chest. It's really easy to start letting it hover up over your face. I was doing a little bit of that myself. And this is 9, squeeze, and this should feel really pretty hard. Again, if it doesn't feel hard, you gotta ask yourself, how am I gonna make it harder? Maybe I'm gonna do a couple more reps. And go ahead and bring your weights down. Now, the second exercise here is for your triceps. You can keep the same weights. You can take one weight and hold it so that you're holding it end to end. You can take 2 weights and hold them together. That's what I'm going to do. Whichever one you want. Make sure you have a hold of it before you push it straight up. And then bring your elbows into a bent elbow position so your weights come to the top of your head. And then push up for 1. And slow and controlled bend. And push up for 2. And now whatever weight you're using, whatever intensity you're using, use it as a gauge. And I'll use myself as an example. I was using heavier weight before I went away to Michigan. And doing that week of hospice and dying and stress in the family, I came home and I was weaker. And that's the stress in the body. So you have to honor that. So I back up and I'm at where I can handle, and then I'll work back up again. And that's how our bodies work. Our bodies work in this ebb and flow way. You can't get too rigid around what you can and cannot do, because every day is going to be a little different. Last one. All the way down nice and slow. And push all the way up. And that should have felt hard. Bring your weights to your chest. Roll over to your side. And come on up. All right, deadlifts are next. We're at our last cycle. So I break workouts into kind of segments, if you will. Lower body, upper body, balancing. So I'm going to take my heavier weights this time, make it a little bit harder. I want you to remember that you're holding the weights end to end like they're one piece. You could also just hold one weight also. Your feet are in neutral, Tadasana kind of stance, and your knees are slightly bent. All right, when you come all the way up, they'll straighten, but to get started, slightly bent. You're going to send your weight straight down towards your toes, keeping your back straight. Find your edge of your stretch, that's your stopping point, and then come all the way back up nice and straight, and squeeze your glutes at the top. Slow and controlled. The most important thing here is keeping the back really straight. Shoulders are on your back, they're not forward. Up and up and up. And squeeze. So for the gardeners in the room, this is going to allow you to be able to bend over and work in the garden for long periods of time, using your muscles appropriately. Try to draw a straight line with your weights down to the floor, down towards your toes, and then back up, driving your feet into the floor, squeezing glutes at top. Down. Shoulders stay on your back. So every time you come to standing, you might want to just check yourself out. Are my shoulders on my back? 6. And just get curious. Get curious around how everything feels. How much your body can do or not do. And don't make it a good or bad thing. Just make it like, wow, it's an interesting little journey I'm on. And 8. 2 more. 9. And up. And last one. Oh, I felt those last couple too. And up. All right, the last standing exercise is for your shoulders. And I'm going to ask you to go to your lighter weights. Now, normally I would say go to a heavier weight, but I'm going to change the exercise to something different. And then I want you to decide which one you like better. So the first one we did was this touching in and out here, right? The second one I want you to try is to bring your arms up into cactus like this. All right, so right away you're going to ask yourself, oh no, I don't have, my weight's too heavy. And you're going to close your arms and bring the pinky side of your weights together, and then open your arms, palms front. Elbows stay parallel with your shoulders. Touch, open,
Did you all lose her too? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
She dropped. Okay. Well, that's good because I did 10 and that was enough.
Come back, Sue.
She's probably down on the ground and doesn't realize. Oh,
She might not even know she's off.
she just sent a text. She said lost internet. Hang on. So I think she's trying to come back.
So I probably do that, try to wait for it to slowly go up, but having an instructor and not knowing that I actually experience it probably freak out. Speed goes up.
there you go. Thank you for waiting. You had a nice long rest, didn't you? How many of those deadlifts did you do?
Oh, 20.
Yeah. Well,
20 or 30 while you're
well,
gone.
we started this, right?
Yeah. Yes.
We
did.
started this too. I did 10 of those. Yeah.
I got like
And
to
then
8 and then I saw it go away.
You stopped midway. Yeah.
All right, let's finish up with the core work on the floor and then we're done.
Are you still recording? Looks like you are.
Yeah, it is. All right. So remembering that the second set is always going to feel as hard or harder than the first. So this one that we're doing on our forearm, we want to not collapse through the shoulder. Remember, push through your arm so that there's space here. Rib cage lifts, hips lift, arm and leg lifts. Now, if you're a little bit stronger and you want it harder, both legs are straight. One foot's in front of the other. You can leave your knees on the floor. We're gonna go down for 1 and up. Down for 2 and up. So I've got both legs straight. It's a harder action, obviously. Or you could keep your legs on the floor. Down and 4. Good. And down and 5. Hold this last one. Notice what you're doing with your head. Pick your head up and rest. All right, other side. So remember, you can start here. Lift the ribs and then just lift the hips. That's fine. Arm up, leg up, or both legs straight. Here we go. Down and 1. Good. Down and 2. Here's what I say to myself. We only have to do 5 and 3. And when you get stronger, you do 10 and 4. Down and 5. Terrific. Rest. So if you could keep going with those, definitely do 10 on your own. All right, we're on our bellies for Superman variation. I like to call this the crisscross variation, and we'll do the same thing we did the first time. So X with your legs, X with your arms wide, both positions. And you're going to lift one leg and the opposite arm up and down, other arm, other leg up, down, and then all 4. That's 1. Opposite arm and leg, opposite arm and leg, and then all 4. And that's 2. So really, we're doing a lot more than 5 here because I'm combining a bunch of movements together. Up and 3. Reach, try to keep your arms and your legs long. Up and down. Lift and lower. We only have 1 more. Up and down and up and down and lift and lower. Terrific. Last exercise is our forearm plank. And I'm going to grab my timer. Just out of curiosity. When I did my first power muscle class, I timed everybody for a minute. And it was like the last challenge, right? So we'll see how long we go. Forearm, just so you know, forearm planks are harder than hand planks. A lot of people don't realize that. So let's start where we did before. Come down into Sphinx pose. And then decide about your arms. The hands can be clasped or the palms can be straight down. And keep on your knees initially. You're going to lift your belly and your hips so you're parallel. And then decide if you want your toes. You don't have to go full plank, full Monty. And then if you got your feet together, you could squeeze your legs together. Lift your belly, tailbone shoots towards your feet. Think about your head being neutral, maybe looking at your hands. Shoulders drop down your back. Breathe. So holding a plank for a minute is the baseline for doing lots of other hard things. We're at 30 seconds. And just ask yourself where you are. You're at the end of your second set, so you're going to be tired. And push yourself just a little bit. 45 seconds. For those of you who used to come to Shakti, you might remember I used to do these challenges. Last 5 seconds. 4, 3, 2, 1 minute. All right, did you make it?
No, I was shy of 30 seconds.
That's all right.
I couldn't do that before, so I'm happy with that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm breathing. I don't know about you, but I'm breathing. So anyway, that's your third full body workout. We just did 2 sets of 10. Let me know how you feel. I'll shoot you an email midweek. And I'll have this up probably by tomorrow. But the other 2 are up there. So if you want a variation midweek, do something different. If you didn't do the second workout, you might want to do that one.
Yes, we'll do that one.
Go eat your protein. Unless you already had it.
I had it.
Yeah, that's the only thing challenging about this day is I teach Shakti and then I have to try and get my protein shake in the middle. So John goes, but you organize your own schedule. And I said, yes, I do.
Sort of sounds like me in the yard.
All right, everybody doing okay?
Yeah,
All right. You guys
Yep.
have a great weekend.
you too.
Much power muscle. Woo. All right. See you next
Take
week.
care. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Well, thank you.